Hi everyone. So in this tutorial we will talk about virtual machines and app services and how we can configure and deploy. At the end we will troubleshoot about those two things. So basically virtual machine, we go with virtual machine first. So virtual machine is like software based uh, system which have storage, network, and those things are like virtual as per your own requirement, but it's same as your own physical hardware. But in cloud side we can utilize those things which are very easy and easy to manage, and that belongs to IaaS under that services. And why we need that virtual machines, because sometimes we don't want to take the risk of security, or like I'm talking about the physical security of the data center, so people just go for virtual machines. Or if you want to deploy or store some data, or you want to use a website, you want to host a website, you can utilize virtual machines. And then we go for app services. So app services is from PaaS services, and we can use app services for our own requirements regarding to the physical, or you want what kind of stuff you want to deploy in a physical environment, so you just migrate that stuff to app services. And we can use, I will show you how we can create and how we can verify that in our few more tutorials. But in this tutorial I will just create those things and verify, and just a little bit troubleshoot about verifications. So we just go to Azure portal now, where we will try and deploy a virtual machine first. So we created our resource group in our previous tutorial, so we just go with that resource group, and inside that resource group we have a virtual network. So we already have two things, so we just try to find virtual machine. So it shows like this like the virtual machines, like what is your requirement. But normally it's like you can go with the normal virtual machine, then later on we can choose the OS or Linux flavor which we want to deploy. So we can name it VM test, and the region we can go with West Central, US Central. So in availability zone, if you want you can choose. If you don't want, go with the default one and standard. Okay, so we need to go to Germany Central West. Yeah, because that region there were no size of that, so we just go with that. And we can see here which is our OS. Here we can use Windows, we can also use Linux flavors plus Windows servers if we want to deploy our Oracle according to your requirements. So we just go through Windows, so we can just click on the Windows 10. Then the sizes, there are different sizes of processor and virtual processors, and the disk sizes. So according to that there will be different uh, cost. So we just for test we can go with this one, 16 one, and we can choose a name. Like this name will be VM test. So we can choose this name. Then password, we just select a password, and I will choose a password. So that password we need to use while we will go into that virtual machine. And here we want to tell that if we want a public inbound ports or not, so we can select. So here we go with default. Here we can set a port, and it depends which port you want. We can also edit later for our requirement, but here we just go with the RDP port because that is the requirement, otherwise we cannot log in to the virtual machine. So we go with the confirmation, then next. Here we can select a storage of OS disk, so according to your requirement, premium, standard, or SSD or HSD. So we go with the premium. Encryption type, I don't want to change any, just normal default one. Here you want to, if you want to enable, you can enable the ultra disk compatibility or not, just go by default. Then we can see advanced, these are already checked. We can uncheck, there will be some problem with the default setting, we need to choose some different things. So just for simplification, I go with default setting. Then next is networking. We have we the virtual network will create a subnet. This is default, we already created that one in our previous tutorial. With public IP will be named as public VM test dash IP. Then we go with the basic, and those are the ports which we want to open. So we just want to open RDP port 3389. And then if we want to use load balancer, we can select or not, it depends, but we will do labs regarding to load balancer in our coming tutorial. So just go with next. Management, here you can see some features if you want to enable or not. I will just go with the default one for simplifications. Here also tags, we discussed in our previous tutorial, but and this is the final validation from the cloud side, and in that, if it will be okay, it will be fine for us to go forward. Okay, so we just go with the create. So it takes few moments and it will be okay, and we can use RDP with the cloud file, or we can go with the Windows and RDP manually, depends on our requirement. If we want to go to Windows, we need to put the public IP of the virtual machine, and then it will be log into the virtual machine. So it takes few minutes, depends, and then we can see it will be okay to use. So if we want to use our Windows RDP, we just write remote, so like this. So here we need to give the computer name, and that is the public IP of the virtual machine which we are going to create. Then we need to just connect, it will connect. This is the one way, but there is another way from the cloud side. After completion, we can just download the file and double click on that file to log in. So we will go with the cloud file. Yeah, it takes some time to create a virtual machine because there are like multiple things like storage, VM disk, its public IP, its network security, and like such kind of things. So one by one it will create, and we will see after its creation. We will just go through those things. Here we can see the deployment in progress. Also we can do some other stuff in the meantime, as this is going to deploy and it takes few moments, but we have time to see how it goes. So we just focus on the virtual machine creation first, then we go for app services. But right now we just go with this virtual machine. So here the deployment is completed, so we just go to resource. So that's the virtual machine. We can see its virtual machine is running. We can start, or we can stop, or we can restart, like these three things. So this is the start, so it's already started. And the public IP, we can see this is the public IP of this virtual machine. And if it's started, we can see login to this virtual machine. On the left hand side there is networking, this sizes, there are different features. You can go inside and see how the things are working, but for the simplicity we just connect directly to this. And this is Windows, so we just go with the RDP. If this is Linux, we use SSH. And the Bastion is another feature of the cloud side, which we will discuss later. But right now click on RDP, then it will give us this download file. Click on the download, it takes some time. Just click on this, then connect. Here we need to change the account, like the name VM test. The next one is the password. Here it go. So it's already asking a certificate. Click yes. It's going to connect, and here we are. This is the virtual machine. We already logged in. So it takes few moments to start up this virtual machine like a Windows. We can minimize or maximize, or just, so we have our own physical system, and inside that physical system we have another Windows like this. So we just go with like to see these features. So here we are. This is a virtual machine, and we can select yes, so we can access to the network. So it's same like your own desktop, but we are using like from a browser, or we can use it with one file. We don't need to deploy a physical environment. We can do anything which we want to do on our physical laptop. So here are we. So this is one thing we are deployed, and now the question is how we can check. Sometimes we could not able to connect with this public IP, which is the public IP of this VM. So we can go to overview, and this is the public IP. We just copied and go to command prompt and type ping with the public IP. So okay, so it gives us timeout. It's because the NSG, which is in networking, does not allow ICMP ping. So that's the reason, but I will tell you later in our future tutorial how to create inbound rules or those kind of stuff. But if we want to verify the port which is open like 389, we can verify with the port, but right now there is no need. So we just don't want to waste our time. We just go for app services. Because virtual machine is running fine, we can see that. So we just close it, and now we will deploy app services. App services, here we can see app services. Just create. Here same things, select the resource, we select this resource group. App name, we can say app 1. So we can go with okay, no alphabets, only like the name. So we need to give a unique name, app app test cursor, and we can select docker or code depend on the requirement. Here is the runtime, which one we need to use on the runtime. So we go with the PHP 8. Like this is the requirement to create app. Here we can select like Linux region. We can just go with the central US, then Linux, then next deployment, go with default. Here is the monitoring, how to monitor or which things we need to set to see our app is running or not. So we just go with the default. Tags also default, and final validation, then click create. It takes few moments, same as VM, and then we can verify our app services by going to the browser, because there will be a URL for this app we can find after its creation. Then we just browse that, so we can see, and we can also find the DNS by going to NSLOOKUP. So first we need to wait for its creation, then we go for further steps. It also takes a few moments about that, so just need to sit tight and see when it will complete. So this is the notification bar. We can find which process have been done and which process are under process. So like we deployed the virtual machine, so it's already deployed, succeeded, and it says with the tick checkbox or tick. So here app services under deployment, so we can see that as well. We can also just cross to clean up this notification bar. So here are we go to resource of app services. Here we can find our app services. We can find our HTTP data here, data in, data out. This is a monitor, you can say small kind of monitor or dashboard. Here we can find out running condition, like is it running or not. We can stop this and then we can start again, depends on our requirement. If we want to minimize our cost, just stop it, so no charge will be. So there we have a URL of this app services. We just need to copy and we can verify if this is working. Just paste over here and we can find if the app service is showing us some page or not. If it's showing, then okay, here are we. This is a default page, we can change it, but it shows like the app is working, the website is running. So and also we can see the command. Use ns lookup for the public IP, for the IP of this. Go to here. So here is the public IP 20.40.202.37. That's the actually domain, and that's the public IP on which this app is running. Or you can say it's like a record, or we can change it to our requirement with a CNAME with other websites. So basically that's the website which is running on this public IP. So that means it's successfully working. We can check that IP with ping command, like does it work publicly, or it also have some NSG issue. Yeah, it seems like there is some NSG issue. Okay, but the main thing in this tutorial, we can say that this is now in running condition, and that's our app services URL. We can log, like we can host any app with this URL, and it will help us to use our requirement in like that. And there is it. We can see that data time in and out. It shows like that monitor shows us about the running of this app services. Let's see with the maximizing it. See, we just started according to the time it started and just working fine. So this is another way to you check the app is running or not, other than instead of using ping command with Windows. So that's the small tutorial for today. Hope you like it. Have a good time. Bye.